All right, forget those lazy backyard rallies at your family barbecue. Welcome to today's explainer. We are diving headfirst into the extreme precision, the aerodynamic physics, and honestly, the hidden complexities that make badminton one of the absolute most intense sports on the planet.
But before we break down the nuts and bolts, I want you to ask yourself, do you actually know the difference between a simple rally and a truly lethal smash? Well, let's see if you're ready to elevate your understanding from, a casual beach game to highly regulated competitive warfare. So here's our game plan for today. 1. Essential gear. 2. Mastering the court layout. 3. The rules of engagement. And 4. Your arsenal of shots. Let's get into it. Section 1. Essential badminton gear.
You might not realize it, but a badminton racket is actually an instrument of pure, strictly regulated precision. It's capped at exactly 68 centimeters long and 23 centimeters wide. Every single element, the handle, the shaft, the throat, the head, right down to the interlaced stringed area, is mathematically optimized to transfer power straight from your wrist directly to the shuttle. And then, of course, we have the projectile itself. The rules for a traditional shuttlecock are just incredibly strict. You've got a letter-coated cork base into which exactly 16, not 15, not 17, but exactly 16 goose or duck feathers are precisely fixed. And get this, even if a synthetic shuttle is used, the rules dictate it literally must perfectly mimic the exact aerodynamic drag of those 16 natural feathers. No shortcuts allowed. But here is where the strictness truly blows my mind: the weight. A shuttle must weigh between 4.74 and 5.50 grams. We are talking about fractions of a single gram here. To put that in perspective, that's less than the weight of a standard paperclip, dictating whether your equipment is even legal. In this sport, a microgram changes the speed of the game entirely.
So ultimately, this feather-light, aerodynamic little cone is the absolute center of the universe out on the court. Literally, every single rule, every boundary, and every swing revolves entirely around its completely unique flight path.
Moving right along to Section 2, Mastering the Court Layout. Okay, so picture the rectangular battlefield. The full court spans exactly 13.4 meters long and 6.1 meters wide. It's this enclosed space that's specifically calculated to push human agility to its absolute limits, bound by these stark white lines that are strictly 4 centimeters wide. Right smack in the middle, you have these 1.55-meter permanent posts anchoring a fine, dark coordinate. But if you look really closely at the top edge, you'll see it actually dips ever so slightly in the middle to exactly 1.524 meters. And that tiny, seemingly insignificant depression right at the dead center, that is exactly where the most aggressive, low-clearance shots are targeted.
Mapping out the floor a bit further, a center line bisects the space right down the middle into left and right service courts. It runs perfectly straight from the back end line, positioned exactly 3.05 meters away from the outer edges, which creates this perfect mirror image symmetry. But if you step onto the court for a one-on-one singles match, well, your safe zone suddenly shrinks. The playing width is instantly tightened by these inner singles sidelines, which are marked precisely 46 centimeters inside the doubles lines. You've got less space and absolutely zero backup. Which brings us to Section 3, the rules of engagement. So the structure of victory here is straightforward, but man, is it brutal. Best 2 out of 3 games wins the match. You need 21 points to take a game, but, and there's always a catch, you must secure that win with at least a 2-point lead. This rule alone forces these incredibly high-pressure, sudden death scenarios when the score gets tight. The true, continuous pulse of the game is what's called the rally. This is the unbroken sequence of action. It starts the exact millisecond the server's racket strikes the shuttle, and it's just this frantic back-and-forth flying until the shuttle hits the floor or a rule is broken. And speaking of breaking rules, when a rule is broken during that rally, it's called a fault. And let me tell you, it carries a heavy, dual penalty. You instantly lose the right to serve, and, boom, a point is immediately handed over to your opponent. In sharp contrast to a fault, a let is basically a complete do-over. If a let is called, the tension resets completely. No point is awarded, all the play since the last service is totally erased from the record, and the server simply tries again. All right, final section, Section 4,
your arsenal of shots.
Okay, so the absolute best way to start a rally, end it instantly with an ace. It's a serve so perfectly, flawlessly executed that your opponent completely fails to even touch the shuttlecock. Just game over before it begins. But assuming the shuttle actually comes back, you have to build a trap. First, you buy yourself some recovery time with a high defensive clear shots. Then, you trick your opponent. You fake power, but instead deliver a soft, highly deceptive drop shot right to the front. And finally, when they are totally off balance, you finish them with pure, unadulterated power, the smash.
Let's actually map those shots to the court for a second. That defensive clear shot we just talked about, it targets a very specific zone known as the back alley, which is that tiny sliver of space between the end line and the doubles long service line. Forcing your opponent to sprint all the way back there just drains their stamina, and it gives you those absolutely critical seconds to reset your stance. And then, of course, there's the finisher. Our source material captures the smash shot just perfectly, calling it a powerful stroke fired from a high point straight downwards your opponent's court. It is literally the ultimate gravity-assisted act of aggression in badminton. So we've basically deconstructed the whole shebang, from the incredibly exact 4.74-gram weight of the shuttlecock to the stark geometry of the boundaries, right down to the psychological warfare of those killer shots. So the only question left for you is, how will you wield this precise arsenal of knowledge the next time you step onto the court?